Hey everyone, welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. Kevin Sully and Gordon Mack for this edition. Gordon, it's been a while since you've been on a podcast.
Has.
How do you feel?
Not that while. I was on the Friday podcast.
Oh, that's true. Time stood still when I went to Atlanta. On the show, we're going to talk a little more about the trials. We'll tie a bow on that, and then we'll look forward to NCAA's. But I haven't talked to you since the trials happened.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts were, well, I'll talk about my experience of watching the trials. So I was en route to go to Houston, Texas to watch a soccer game with some friends. So I didn't get to Houston until the final 20 minutes. So I was kind of looking at just the live results.
Okay.
And one thing about following a marathon, when I checked for updates 40 minutes in and an hour and 10 minutes in, and you look at the results and you just you don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
Because I saw the Brian Schrader thing, and I was like, that's not going to last, right? And then when you see the pack, you say, who's leading? I'm like, well, that means nothing. Leading the marathon really means nothing in a way, because you could be in 12th the entire time.
Right.
How often was Galen Rupp leading before he made a move?
Right, exactly. Right? And same thing with the women's pack.
And so this made me think about getting excited about things that happen in the middle of a marathon, especially when you're just looking at the live result. It's just yeah. I'm just waiting. You're just waiting for the end. Yeah. Right?
Well, in retrospect, you can go back and watch ooh, that was really significant that that person stuck in that group. But at the time, you're that could mean something, or that could be absolutely nothing.
I mean, everything can be nothing, and so you kind of just I'll just wait till they tell me what it means.
Yeah.
And so that's what it felt like. And then once I saw, I was able to get to my friend's house and turn on the race. By then, I believe Galen had already broken away, and it was Mayo, Abdi, and career was kind of off. But when I saw Abdi, I thought, I'm a genius, because I picked him in my fantasy draft. Yes. So I was kind of oh man, who'd have thought, You
almost had it.
And then I didn't see Jared Ward, so I was kind of what's going on? And the thing that got me really excited was just seeing Molly Seidel in that front group, and I was like, she's gonna die, and then being oh shit, she might win. She might pull a Galen Rupp. I was thinking, and
you've covered her a bit.
Covered her in college,
And you talked to her most recently at Houston, right?
Yeah.
So you probably have more Molly Seidel insight than most.
Yeah. So it was JoJo wrote an amazing piece about her on Runner's World, and so the entire time when I read that piece earlier in the week, I was like, oh, this is a cool story. But I met Molly when she was at her peak at Notre Dame, kind of learning what happened between Notre Dame and now. And it's a crazy story with checking herself into rehab for, body, issues and all that things. So, you kind of learn a lot. Normally people don't really want to talk about it. And so I had that story fresh in my mind from reading it. And I thought that was a story about someone who's going to finish 20th and be hey, 2024 is my year.
Because that's what she thought, too.
Yeah.
She thought she was top 20.
And then I was like, oh, shit, this is happening. So it was fun just to see the surprise of it. And then Jake, think about this. The men's race is literally kind of the same thing as 4 years ago. You have Galen Rupp, the dominant figure. You have the old man getting in there, and Meb, and, Abdi.
Yeah.
And then you have, the newcomer, 210 type guy, 211 type guy, and the Jared Ward, Jake Riley coming in and getting a spot. So I thought it was kind of very, a mirror of 2016 and the types of people who made the team on the men's side.
Well, the difference being people were picking Meb going into
that's true. People
LA,
were picking, but
only you were picking Abdi.
Yeah.
As a 6th-round draft pick in the fantasy draft.
But you get the idea of the old man, this is your last one.
Is it his last one?
I
thought his last one was literally 8 years ago when he qualified in Houston. He was too old to be qualifying then. He seemed out of it then. But
yeah, but I don't know.
Well, and Jake Riley, you're right about Jake Riley. He's I guess he's kind of the Ward prototype, although he's 31 now and he's been off. He's missed a bunch of time, et cetera, et cetera.
But Jake Riley, he went to a big, cross country powerhouse.
Right.
Was good in college. Was never the superstar, but he was the All-American that you talk about.
Right.
Who would score 3 or 4 points, and now he gets this is his moment. It was pretty cool.
The one constant though, Galen Rupp.
Galen Rupp
just mowing.
He wore the Alpha Flies.
Yes.
You guys were saying he was going to wear.
Yeah, we're not
his
good
own shoe.
reporters. That's
Yeah.
I mean the thing about us is we were just speculating wildly. I thought with the Achilles stuff, he wouldn't wear them. And when he ran the tune-up at the Sprouts Mesa Half Marathon, he wore just the regular Next Percents. So I was surprised. Abdi wore the regular Next Percents. He didn't wear the Alpha Flies. And then Bernardo Gat, who had been all over Instagram wearing them, didn't wear them.
Yeah.
Jake Riley didn't know 2 days before if he was going to wear them or not, and he ends up wearing them. It was very weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand shoes anymore. I've been out of trying to run fast for so long and trying to put on racing flats for so long that I don't get it. Like, back in my day, like, you didn't just, wear a shoe the day before the race. You're like, I did some strides in the hotel lobby.
That's good.
Let's do 26.2 in
Yeah.
it. Like, you had to, break it in a little
Trust
bit.
it.
Trust it. Have a relationship with the shoe.
Take it out for dinner.
Exactly. See how it feels
movie.
after 10 miles. Yeah.
Not rated R, maybe PG-13.
Yes. Exactly. Let's close this door here. By the way, we got a little opening. We don't want people, getting the pod for free out there.
Yeah.
Alfine Tuliamuk too. I mean, that's someone you had been in Flagstaff. Was she in Flagstaff when you went there earlier in the year? When you lived in Flagstaff for 2 months?
I don't remember.
I mean, that's a crazy story too, right? I mean, she was good in college too. So was Seidel. They both were good in college, but Tuliamuk didn't break 2:30 until last year.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you saw sparks of it though. Like she ran well at US Cross.
Yeah.
And she had a bunch of oh, okay. But I always take with grains of salt literally every US road championships. Because
yeah, you don't know.
They're all just no one is training for them.
Yeah.
And the best don't always go to them.
Yeah.
So I always, whenever I see people be like, I got fourth at the US 13.85 kilometer.
Oh, my favorite's the 12K.
12.
When they did the 12K that one year, I was just really excited about that. That just got me going.
So not to take away from Molly Huddle's million titles that she racks up on the roads. She had yet to have a performance where you kind of are able to put on the level of
You're talking about Tuliamuk.
Yeah, Tuliamuk.
Yeah,
This matters, right?
Sure.
So, but maybe it kind of showed that her top 3 finishes at all these road races kind of meant something because she was able to put it together here. So.
She was able to pick up the pieces when other people had bad races, and she was able to manage on a really hard course too, which is in the marathon you just got to give yourself a chance, right? Link and I were talking about that yesterday. You probably didn't listen, but it's there's so many variables in a marathon, and it's so wildly unpredictable, but we get caught up in the Kipchoges and the Rups of the world who pretty much can just crank out solid ones that most people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Des Linden will crank out a solid one every single time. But you call someone a favorite, that's fine, but most of those favorites, they're going to have bad days, and it just so happened a lot of women had bad days. We don't pay attention outside the top 3 very much. If I asked you to name the top 10 from LA, I'm guessing you couldn't get very far.
No.
In that, and maybe we'll forget this top 10 in a couple years. We probably will. But NA's the elite, man. 3 in the top 8 is in a field that good, I think it's pretty significant for the women. They get Tuliamuk, they get Bruce, and they get Taylor. No other and they were in it, right? It wasn't a situation where they were passing tired horses in the last lap. They were in that race the entire time. For a while there, I thought Kellen Taylor was going to win the whole thing, and she really put herself out there. So credit to them.
Is it really a surprise though? Because when I ranked them, they had 3 in the top 12.
Well, your rankings we all know are great, and everybody loves your rankings.
They had 3 in the top 12 in the ranking. They ended up putting 3 in the top 10 in reality.
But they did. I mean, they delivered though.
They delivered though,
Yeah.
but it's not who are these people?
No. I didn't mean to say that we didn't know them. I just meant to say if Taylor had won, it would have been a big upset. And Tuliamuk won, and it's I feel in that group at least, I always got the vibe that Taylor would have been.
Taylor was the best of the 3. We always thought
the top seed.
That it was Taylor, then Tuliamuk,
then Bruce. But
Bruce.
I mean, just for all of them on that day, for none of them to have a bad day, I guess is what I'm saying. And I know on the men's side of things, they had some rough finishes, but
this might be a unpopular opinion.
Okay.
But
that'll be new for
what
you.
What does it mean to defeat people who DNF?
Well, right. That's different.
Not just DNF, but defeat people who have bad days.
Well, I mean that's it's one
Jim
thing.
Walmsley is not a better marathoner than Jared Ward.
I don't know. A lot of ultra people. No,
you know
I
what
agree.
I mean?
I agree.
So how do you know if it's a win, or if it's a win because the other one had a bad day?
Right, and I think there's a difference between this person finished 35th and beat this person who finished 45th versus they got 3 in the top 8.
Yeah.
Right? And still in the top 8, things weren't falling that much apart. Like,
well, I'm thinking I'm
if
not
Huddle and
not just thinking about Hoka and all that. I'm thinking more like everyone that finished in the top 10 on the both men's and women's side, right?
Yeah.
They beat a lot of really good runners.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Jonas Hampton on the men's side of things.
Yeah, like these men, they beat Jared Ward. They beat,
Some beat Fauble.
They beat Jared Ward. They beat Fauble. They beat a bunch of these guys. On the women's side, they beat Jordan Hussey. They beat Sisson. They beat Molly Huddle. They beat Sarah Hall. I could keep going and going. It's like...
I mean, it's the marathon, though, right?
Yeah.
That's going to happen. It's not like beating them in the 100.
Yeah.
Because they pulled up and grabbed their hamstring. It's like just getting to the end of the marathon is an accomplishment. And I'll use the NAZ example because I think it's a good one. Like, Huddle and Sisson got dropped from that group, and then they dropped out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were leading the race and then they bailed. That's what I'm saying. It's not like they were just passing people in the final miles. And it not that any 6th or 7th or 8th place doesn't matter, but there's different context to it. You see it in majors, right? It's like this person got 5th, but there was a 6-minute gap to 4th, and then like a 10-second gap behind them. Like, that's sort of a weird part of racing. But this was like, I felt like a well-earned position. Because even if they stayed in...
I'm just talking about in general. Like,
yeah, in the marathon, it's hard, right? I think it's harder in any event in track to kind of value a place.
Because then you think about, like, so we talked about how, like, this marathon was designed to be hilly because that's where the course was going to be, but now it's going to be, But now it's going to be flat because they moved it and Tokyo to a different location, and just, I don't know, I think, like, it's like, it makes sense, the top 3, and like on paper.
Oh, it doesn't make sense at all to me.
But like
for the women, it does not make sense. It still doesn't make sense.
Like the picking a team via the top 3.
Oh, yeah.
But like at the same time, you're like, our team is different based off of like someone having a bad day.
Yeah. It's funny on my
like it's kind of like there's a reason they play 7 games in a playoff series.
Yeah, but in NCAA they only play 1.
Should they play 7 marathons?
They should do 7 marathons. I think that's the problem.
Actually, what would it look like though if there were, in order to qualify for
the Olympics?
It was a 3 marathon series
in a row, like 3 weeks in a row.
Not
like Sarah Hall just wins it.
No, it's not 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
you have it like separated.
Point totals.
And it was like you have one. You can have one bad one, and it's your best 2. It's like your best 2 of the 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just complicated. It's just like overcomplicates things.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like this just because the course didn't end up matching? Because then that's kind of more on Tokyo, switching the course. If this course was how it was going to be in Tokyo, would you be fine with it?
No, it's more about like...
You don't like trials in general. You want
for the marathon. It's just,
what about in track?
Track, it's all right. I'm okay with it.
Why is it okay in track? Track, there's some crazy stuff.
No, I just think there's more variables in marathon than there are in a track final. Yeah,
but you still had a hurdle. You could have all sorts of... Someone could false start. Like, there's all sorts of... Remember when Kenny Harrison didn't make the team and that's at the world record? No, this is the best way to do it. Because how do you measure it the other way, right? Like, this year we've been a perfect example. Who would you have put on the team?
I mean, we all created a different team. That's the idea, right?
Yeah, and that's a problem because it's not. It's fine for Grenada to do this because they say, Karani James, you're in the 400 because there's not a lot of depth.
3, you have your best 2 of the 3. That's what they do in the Hammer Throw Challenge Championship.
And that's what I really think we should base everything off of is hammer throw. But like, who would have? This is all great, and with this argument comes up every 4 years or every 2 years actually with World Championships, and then I always say the same thing to people. Great, who's your team then?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to put Kenny Harrison on the 2016 Olympic team. Who are you kicking off, right? Which is funny because they ended up sweeping that anyway, so it was ridiculous. But it's like this team. Who would you have put on? Would you have valued Sisson's debut? Well, she's only run 1 marathon. Would you have valued Hall's fast time? But she had rough races too. Huddle lost to Sisson by...
do you value Des with her consistency?
Yeah. Like, how would you... So you get it together in a room and a committee. I just don't want committees deciding it, and the only way to do it. Now, if you had, like, a 2-marathon thing, I guess maybe that, like, they're still able to prove it, but you get a larger sample size.
Is there a way to, like...
Well, you'd have to do it like that. You'd have to average it out, right? Something like that. But I just don't see that.
Just imagine a world.
I'm imagining this world,
that
yes.
Eliud Kipchoge was American.
Okay.
And he was at the trials.
I'm all in on this world, by the way.
Okay. He was at the trials, and he had to finish top 3.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he like twisted his ankle
Yep.
and like fell,
Okay.
and then had to like drop out because he hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 9 months later, we were like, all right, Kipchoge, you're not good enough to represent America at
Yeah. I
at-
like this
at the
world.
Olympics.
I think Kipchoge's got to earn it. I think he's got to be. Well, isn't that sports though? So the whole point of sports is you got to kind of do it when everybody's watching and do it when it matters. And something like the marathon, I mean, it's going to come down to one race in Tokyo too. Don't you want somebody who's clutch?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like again, not to for those listening, for those like 2 people who are listening. I'm not saying that the 6 people who are selected to Team USA don't deserve to be there, and I'm happy that they're there, and like it's great. Like there's no one I would ever want to. There's not a world where I'd want to take them out.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about. It's just weird when like, if we're gonna be honest, going into this trials, most people were saying like we're gonna have like an amazing women's team, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we were thinking amazing women's team, some of us might have said like Tulamok as one of the 3, right? But like, were we creating this trio?
No, because
for our amazing women's team.
You were picking a team with a quote unquote higher ceiling, which I guess you could say Seidel has a crazy high ceiling because this was her first one.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, she's gonna improve anymore. But you were thinking like, oh, Sisson's gonna take even a bigger step forward. Hasay is a 220 marathoner, and now she's healthy and she's going to be able to run 220 because they're running into a buzzsaw with Bridget Kosgei being a 214 marathoner and just and the half marathon record is going down and people getting faster and faster and faster. So I see what you're saying. But yeah, unless you want to extend the qualifying process over a longer period of time, but then you could end up with a situation where someone wins one and then is hurt in the other one, right? And then it's like, okay, well, then you end up sending a person who got 4th twice or something like that, right? Yeah. That average person. Like there's flaws to all these. I just think the best way to do it is the simplest way of just like show up on this day. We're all going to agree to race. And then does it suck sometimes? Like if you're an athlete, yeah, it probably sucks a lot. That like
that's just sports, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was a team last year in the NBA Eastern Conference semifinals that had a lot of promise and they were doing really well. And one shot went in and then it's just like, that's it.
We're going to talk about Sixers right now.
Well, yeah.
They're playing the Lakers tonight.
Oh, really?
You're going to get that L.
Who, Lakers are?
No, Sixers.
Oh.
We're really good at losing on the road.
I know, the home record's good.
28-2 at home, baby.
Yeah, just never play a road game. But, yeah, it's and that's why I think it's more analogous kind of March Madness, where you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like a 1-16. Does the 16 seed deserve to go on?
Or like when Loyola makes the run, right? And the bracket works out perfectly for like, okay, now.
Because there was an upset above them, so now they play an easier team. Or like they've only played double-digit teams.
Exactly, and then you get all the way. George Mason's in the Final Four, which is cool. Like that's I think it's kind of like what's fun about sports. The thing with the marathon, you're right though, it's more unpredictable than anything else.
Yeah.
In the 100, we're going to...
But the thing about March Madness, it is fun, but it is the worst way to crown a national champion.
Yeah.
Like, bar none.
Well, I mean...
March Madness is definitely the worst way to crown a national champion.
If you define national champion as, like...
The best team
the ultimate best team. Yeah, but...
How do you crown the best?
I mean, shouldn't it be like the Premier League, where it's whoever wins the regular season, is it? I mean, there shouldn't really be playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like you've had a chance to, like the Bucks have gotten a chance. They've played every single team.
Yeah.
Right, by the end of the year, they're going to play everybody in the West twice. And I know this is a digression from
a track podcast.
But most of the time that's what I do in every podcast. Like that's what you'd say they've played. You don't need to create the second artificial thing where they play, because then you could say best of 7 isn't enough. Why aren't they playing best of 9 or best of 11 or best of 13? Right?
Yeah.
Like. March Madness, I think, is all about inclusion, right?
It would be interesting, though. Imagine if, like in track, it was best of 3 finals. For the sprint events.
Like the 100, they come back. Yeah. Well,
so like we just decide who the 8 are.
Yeah.
We don't have prelims for the 8.
Yeah.
Like we found a way to find. You made USA trials.
Yeah.
You're in the top 8, and then you got to race 3 times.
Yeah.
And you have to win twice.
Well, couldn't you say the NFL playoffs is a bad way of crowning a champion too?
Yeah. Everything's bad. Playoffs are bad. I should write an article saying we should ban playoffs.
Ban playoffs? I mean,
it's fun though.
That's what the soccer people would say. The soccer people, I mean, not the World Cup focused soccer people, but the people who actually follow European soccer would say that. I'm probably going to jinx myself again because you remember before these trials, I said, you look back at the last 3 years, there's not that many upsets in the marathon trials. Meb goes, Rupp goes, Linden, Flanagan. But I'll say this again about the track trials. You can't point to that many insane, crazy, that person got left off the team. Oh my God, right? There's the Kenny Harrison.
Yeah.
I remember in 2012, David Oliver didn't make the team and he was running really well. But there's not like this situation where it's like, there's like these massive, oh my gosh, those three, I never would have seen coming. I guess, well, even in, remember Eugene? They're all in Eugene. Why did I say that?
In Eugene, yeah.
Women's 800 with the fall.
Oh, yeah, Brenda Martinez.
Right, but Ajay still gets on the team.
Alicia
Montano. Yeah, so Christina Williams makes the team, which is crazy. Kate Grace at the team, that was like an upset. But Ajay still gets on the team, right? Somehow it worked out for that. Now, if you said, okay, and then Brenda comes back and gets on the 1,500 meter team. Like, it had a way of balancing out. And that was an extreme example because it was a huge pileup. But in most cases, for some reason in track, it kind of works out. And it's kind of, but it's fun when there's like a third person you don't predict, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it interesting. But a lot of times in track, it's just kind of chalk all the way around. Gordon is Googling now.
So you keep talking. I want to find.
You're looking up Olympic standards.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I mean.
So.
I know.
Check out this headline from almost a year ago.
Okay.
Did the IAAF just kill off some of the significance of the Olympic trials?
This is from Let's Run?
This is from Let's Run, and they put on a hissy fit. They talked to all the coaches. They complained. They whined. They begged USATF to change get an exemption for U.S. athletes, all because they thought the marathon Olympic standard was too hard for us lonely Americans. Only 2 men had it, and it was sad Americans who can't run sub 2:11:30. And we, instead of running sub 2:11:30, we have to ask the IAAF, now World Athletics, for a handicap on our race and call it a gold label race because dare we say it, we start running fast.
Yeah. I've always said the U.S. doesn't have enough resources in sports.
And guess what? They're not going to run fast in Atlanta because it's a hard course. There's no way us lonely Americans can run sub 2:11:30 on this crazy, hard, hot Atlanta hilly course.
All 6 ran under the standard.
Yes.
Yeah. But however, I will say, it was nice not to have to hear about it going in, and it was nice not to like have to pay attention to like what the time was while they were racing, and be like, oh, are they going to run under? I thought of that same thing. Like when the race ended, I was like, wait a minute, 2:11, because I was like, Rupp ran kind of fast for that course, and I was like, oh, those guys ran 2:10. Well, they ran, I don't even remember, 2:10 low, right?
Yeah.
Or 2:10 mid. And then the women, what was the standard for women? I don't even know. 2:28,
2:29 something.
Yeah, that was never in doubt. Right, because enough women came in with the standard. It only would have been a men's thing, and then everyone would have been like...
Molly Seidel ran the standard in her marathon debut in what we thought was a very, very hard course.
Yes. No, I'm
just calling out, it's ridiculous that we did that. It's ridiculous that we asked for a special permission
I didn't do that.
From the World Athletics Association.
Did you do that?
No, USATF did it. And they're like, we need gold label status because we can't run fast.
Meanwhile,
there's like 250 Japanese athletes who can run sub 2:11:30.
But from a USATF perspective, I absolutely would have done this. I don't fault them for doing that at all. And that's their job, right? Yeah. Their job is to like create the best path forward, the easiest, the straightest path forward for the athletes.
Well, they didn't need to do that either.
Well, they didn't need to, but it helped, right?
But like, even if they didn't, they could have still picked the top 3. Because the third place person without a standard could have got in on the world ranking or whatever.
Well, then we're just into headache territory.
But all USATF had to say is top 3 and you're in.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do.
Yeah.
They didn't need to create have a conference call with Seb Kobe and like, hey.
Do you think it was a conference call? Or do you think
we got this cool race going on. Could you give us some of that gold label status?
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea of gold label, bronze label, silver label is so convoluted and difficult to figure out.
And the whole idea of saying 2:11:30 is too hard for us Americans to run is also stupid.
No, and I agree, and I think it's on the other countries or World Athletics to say that. But if my job is to be in charge of like advocating for U.S. athletes,
you're going to advocate for us to like continue to not push ourselves?
Well, so that's the other side of things. But I think in the short term, you say we have this trials. I want to avoid this like PR nightmare of I mean, what if there's like a storm or something? What if the wind? What if it legitimately? Like, what if the men's race started like the women's race, where there wasn't a Puskedra or a Schrader or what was that guy's name who was pushing up front?
Dan Nestor.
Dan Nestor.
Gotta love Dan Nestor.
The GOAT. He got that thing going, man. Like, what if they did go out super duper slow and then the winning time was 2:13? Like, that's what USATF's looking out for. So I don't blame them in the slightest. I would have done the exact same thing if I could.
I blame them.
I just think it's not. I mean, it's not. This was only an issue on the men's side of things. It was never.
Yeah, it
going
was
to be a
never an issue
problem.
on the women's side.
Because how many women had that standard?
But not only
Seidel didn't have it, but how many other women had that
they
standard?
all had it. But the thing is, it was so non-issue though that even the marathon debuter
No,
got the standard.
I agree.
So it's just like I don't know.
Well,
that's
that's
so like.
So what's going to be the next standard? Is there going to be a standard debacle for trials or no?
Yeah, they're gonna complain.
What
that
event?
The 10K standard's too hard.
How many people have the 10K standard?
Like 2 or 3.
You talking about the men or the women?
Men. It's just Lopez, Shadrack, and I think Courier has it.
Okay. So are we gonna? And is it possible? I mean,
It's hard. It's like a hard standard.
Right. They're gonna try to go to Peyton. Is that the idea?
Yeah, but who's gonna do it? Who's gonna?
I think Ben True's done with the 10K after last year. He's just like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Right. I mean, who else would make the team though?
Jared Ward's probably gonna try, but.
You think so?
Why not?
That'd be interesting.
What else are you gonna do?
I hope so. Get ready for fall.
Yeah.
Teach some classes.
How to pace a 10K.
Get on Shark Tank again?
Yeah, Shark Tank.
He's got a lot of things going on.
But
okay.
I don't know. I do think though, it's just like.
So on the women's side of things though, the women's 15 is going to be fine. The women's 5 and the 10, those are all going to be fine?
Yeah.
Okay, and then on the men's side, is it the 15 is like Thompson's got it, right? Now.
Yeah.
Who else has it?
Centro has it. I think Angles has it. I think 3 people have it.
Okay. So they need to get going on that.
Yeah.
Like ASAP, like come on guys.
But like
what about the 5?
These guys need to start running sub 3:35 and not go to every meet and run 3:37 and like be like 3:38, 3:37, that's my life. It's like no. These people across the ocean walk up and run 3:32 backwards every day. We shouldn't be being like, let's have 3:37 invitationals. Like, they can run sub 3:35.
That'd be a bad name for an
They
invitational.
just are.
Yeah.
I mean.
No, I agree. I just want to know what the lay of the land. I just want to know the lay of the land before we get into outdoor season of which event. So it's just the men's 15 and the men's 10?
Men's 15 is going to be, men's 15 and men's 10 are going to be the two.
And it's always been the men's 15. Yeah. Ever since I've started paying attention to track, that's never changed at all. The women have changed because the women used to have
the 1,500 meter runners train to run 300 meters.
They dawdle.
They literally train to run 300 meters.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, make that move on that back stretch, go.
Well,
and
imagine
how to go, and you can just close in a sub 40 seconds.
Imagine if we fast forward to the trials and it's those same 3 guys with the standard. Imagine how slow that's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
someone's going to, Brian Schrader's going to take it out.
Yeah.
And then Dan Nestor's
right there. Yeah. Rupp's going to appear out
or
of nowhere.
Lagat's going to be like, screw it.
Dude, I think Lagat should.
He's going to try to 10K.
10,000, right?
He doesn't want to quit.
No, he said he might run another marathon, but he's not even running 100-mile weeks. I think he's in good shape. He shows up, get him in those alpha flies. You know what I mean? Like I bet he's looking at Lopez and he's like, yeah, well, I can't kick like that, but I could be close maybe.
Yeah.
So 15. So who else can get it? Who else needs to get it for the men? Let's make a list. Yeah, let's make a list.
You have like Robbie Andrews coming off injury. You have Ben Blankenship. You have like the Prackle, Gregorics, Hoka guys.
Okay.
I put them all together, like non-Nike.
Right.
1,500 meter runners.
I'm basically my question is who's a threat to make the team, or has a better than 5% chance to make the team that doesn't have the standard? Blankenship, it sounds like.
Blankenship, Andrews if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Drew Hunter if he dropped down distance, but I don't think he is.
He's a 5 guy now, right?
5 guy now.
And how are things in the 5? Or is the 5 okay?
5's pretty okay.
Because Chalimo, Kincaid.
Yeah.
Centro has it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 15-10.
Lamong, okay.
Jenkins, I think, got it just recently, right?
Right, yes.
15-10, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a thing, but it's just, like, ridiculous that we just, like, say, oh, life is too hard for us. Let's make it easier. And when we didn't need it. We didn't need World Athletics coming in to save the Olympic marathon trials. We did not need it.
Yeah. But
and you can live in a world saying that we might have needed it.
Yeah, I like the
really
backup plan.
We didn't, because we could have still sent the ones we wanted to send.
I agree, but imagine the headlines if we didn't, and then there was a bad situation, and people would be like, "Why didn't USATF advocate to get this gold medal race?"
If they didn't, they'd be like, "We're still sending the top 3." That's what they say.
Yeah, but wouldn't they have needed it on point? Like, do you think like Abdi would have had enough? Like, you're talking about world rankings then, right?
Yeah. Well, Abdi had the standard. He ran it. Oh, he ran 2:11:34 at New York.
Yeah.
So he was just off it.
Yeah.
So that time would have made him top 80 ranked in the world.
80 ranked in the world. Yeah. I guess the point is, they didn't want to spend a bunch of time during the broadcast explaining all this stuff, and they didn't want to spend all this time.
They're worried about that when they're gonna, but they choose to spend a bunch of time on the broadcast not talking about the race.
Well,
we're like.
No, you know what I mean. Like the story's heading in. I think
Yeah.
they just wanted to avoid any confusion, make it very clear. 3 in and you're good.
Yeah.
I think that's what they wanted to do.
I did like your.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, what was that?
You're about to compliment me, so go ahead.
I did like your tweet about Molly.
Oh, Seidel and the alpha
Yes.
flies. Yeah.
It's so true because that's how we work as a society. Is we look for a justification for our way of thinking.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. And that would have been the ultimate confirmation bias.
Right. So what I said was, I didn't realize this at the time, but I was talking about it yesterday, and it sort of dawned on me. It's like, imagine if Seidel was wearing the alpha flies. So you have a woman who's debuting, who has good credentials, but that wouldn't have been the story. What would have been the story is, how did this woman, who's in her very first marathon against the deepest field in American history, somehow able to get second? Oh, it must be the shoes.
Yeah.
But instead she was wearing Saucony, so we didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And now it's just a completely different story entirely. So,
And no one is saying like it must have been the Saucony shoes.
right, exactly. And I guess that's a victory for Nike in terms of branding. But yeah, I'm doing a greatest or a biggest what ifs column, and that's definitely going to be on there because I think that would have just swallowed up that would have been the entire story. And if she had done that, it would have totally obscured the fact that, oh no, because then people like you and I would have been like, wait. She's an NCAA champion, Foot Locker champion. She's a really good runner. And all these other people had bad races. And she was there, and she had the race of her life on the perfect day for her. But that's such a harder point to make.
Yeah, nuance, man.
Than LOL shoes, which is that's what it would have been. It would have been shoes. Like, how did she do this? So, and Kipyego, I think, is good enough to where, and she wasn't wearing the alpha fly, she's wearing the next percents. She's good enough to where people are going to be like, oh, she got on the team.
She was a top 12 ranked athlete. I mean,
right. I just remember that there was a take out there floating on Shoe Take Twitter about how BYU last year wore the next percents here at the NCAA track championships when they went 1, 3, 4.
Oh,
and
really?
it was because of the shoes. Because the year before in Eugene, they were, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. They had a bad day.
I think they had a good day because the year before they had a really bad day.
That's,
and they were like,
and
we
I
don't
was
want to do that twice.
Well, and I was thinking you guys probably don't follow BYU running that much because they were just bad the year before. It wasn't like, okay, the 10,000 didn't have Edwin Kurgat or Morgan McDonald or Grant Fisher, right? There was openings. But again, you can't make that point within this debate because you get nuances.
I mean, that's my biggest point. Wayne Cheserek should have freaking got the Bowerman in 2016.
I'm glad we brought it back to that. That's what
because it's the ultimate. It's the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of sports, in any level, and any division, anything.
Jeez, I love your commitment to the
Jerry
take.
Lawson did not deserve that Bowerman.
I think people are still torn on that.
All because Jesse Owens did something in 1930.
Yeah,
you have to give Jerry Lawson the Bowerman when Christian Coleman, Trayvon Bromell. Well, Chris Coleman wasn't good yet. Bromell, DeGrasse both go pro, and the LSU kid gets hurt in the semis.
Which LSU kid?
He was I forget his name, but he was he was supposed to win
the 100,
100 and the 200, but he got hurt. But and then he didn't run fast. He runs 10:05, and we're giving him the Bowerman. Meanwhile, Ches is running 3:50.
Yeah.
After a 5K win, and it's just no one gives.
The triple is tough.
Ches's triple indoor was insane. I was there live. It was insane. He wins the 5K, comes back 30 minutes later, and splits 3:52 against Isaac Yorks and wins. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, I think they were counting on giving it to him his last year, and then he gets hurt and doesn't even run NCAAs. So that's the argument for not doing that. They do that again. NBA here, they do it with MVPs. I feel like too.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook with the triple double.
Let's give it to this guy, and then eventually someone will have their turn, and then if that just happened to be your best season, then you're kind of in the dark there. But yeah, I think with Seidel, it's like people they have to latch onto something. So I think luckily for her, she was not wearing Alpha Flies. Because I mean, I was in that press conference. There were questions about shoes. That was the most controversial thing that got brought up. And I think if that was...
Thank you, Saucony, for sponsoring Molly.
And I don't even know what shoes she was in. Was she in the... I know Ward had one that had the plate, and Huddle didn't have the plate, but...
Yeah. I do think, though, that, like, the Saucony, though, the market return on buying on Molly, and then, like, the return on investment they're getting on Molly is, like, huge.
Seidel or Huddle?
Molly Seidel.
Okay. Because they have both Molly.
Sorry, Molly Seidel.
Yeah.
Because if you read the article, she talks about how she rejected a bigger contract because of her personal health issues, and then come back, and the contract was much, much smaller.
Yeah.
And, because she had, she's going to get more money now, but, like, Saucony's making some money off of her.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge story.
For less than what they would have made off of Molly Huddle for making it.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because her contract's less. I mean, her contract's now, the next time
the bonuses
it's up,
stuff,
she's going to get a lot more money, but in the moment, they're making the money. It's like a minimum contract, right? It's like when your G League player puts up 39 points.
Well, I mean, and look at, I mean, I have no idea what the Hoka contracts are like, but, I mean, they won the Olympic trials, right? And that was a big
return on investment.
One, it's Saturday morning, live on NBC. Like, track does not really get that level of publicity. People have maybe seen Rupp, but for a lot of people, they might have been exposed to Hoka for the first time of, like, what's the name of the jersey that she's wearing? I mean, that's interesting to me. And Nike going 1, 2, 3 in the men's side of things, that looks sort of normal, but then on the women's side, you had
you see it,
a little, especially because the pack stayed together, so they were focused on other jerseys, so they got a lot more airtime there.
Should we do?
Let's talk college.
Well, one more thing.
What
do you think the marathon happened?
Yes.
Who do you think won the marathon and lost the marathon that is not a marathon runner?
Okay, so Lincoln did his winners and losers, but he was mostly focused on the actual people in the race.
Who is a winner coming out of this weekend?
Who's a winner?
That's obviously the winner coming out of this weekend is Alphine, Galen, and the other four that qualified. And the losers are the people who thought they were going to qualify and didn't. But because this has a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
The ripple effect of the trials. I can go first. I mean,
sure.
Loser. I mean, this is a harsh word to say, the word loser, but
Lincoln does it all the time, man. These guys mean.
It's a weird thing because in a way, this person also was a big winner, but now is just a big loser. It's Jerry Schumacher.
Uh-oh.
Because
explain.
He has all these women who are running amazingly well, and he has a little bit of everything in every event. You got some 1500s, you got steeples, you got the 5K now, all this stuff. The 10K was looking to be like 3 way open spots if Sisson and Huddle made the marathon team, but now the 10K becomes 1 spot.
Yeah.
And so when Jerry's trying to figure out which women run what to kind of get as many on the Olympic team, there's 2 less spots for him to kind of play with. Like, Krista Schweizer now 100% needs to make the 5K team. Not sure she probably will. Yeah. But, like, the backup now.
Well, Schweizer could beat those 2 in the 10,000.
She could beat them anyway, too. But then you have that then bumps Infeld, so. Yeah. Or Gwen Jorgensen, who's trying maybe go in that distance. So it's just a bunch.
People like Mariel Hall.
Yeah.
Vanessa Frazier ran great, but it shrinks the possible amount of spots on there. I agree.
So it's weird to call Jerry a loser because, again, his athletes
just broke the American
record.
Ran
9 top 10 marks all time in an hour period, which was insane.
That's pretty
Thursday
good.
Night. But
heat check.
I'm sure he was thinking, dang, Molly and Emily are going to be on that 10K track.
Yeah.
And maybe even one has a bad day, and then Molly and Emily are in the 5K. And you never know, just more bodies, anything can happen. So.
Well, and Molly and Emily didn't train together a lot for this marathon prep. I would guess they'd train together more for track because now they're on the same plan. The timing is the same. I'm guessing, they have different sponsors, but I'm guessing they would line that up. And that is going to be again, I've been wrong on everything, so don't listen to me, but that is going to be from the gun, flat out.
Molly's going to be angry.
Huddle, Sisson, just death match. Like, you better buckle up. Bring seatbelts. If you're running the women's 10,000 in Eugene, bring seatbelts because they're going to go from the gun. They're going to try to grind that thing down, especially if Schweizer's in it because she's a kicker.
Yeah.
Especially
And Falcon Kick.
and Falcon Kick. Like, they are going to go from the gun, and it's going to be really fun to watch. So a winner, I guess, would be the fans, right? Because so many times the 10,000 of the trials is sort of weird. You got 10 marathon people doubling, and you don't know if they're going to take the spot, or you have people who are going to run that, and then the 5,000. So I think it just elevates the whole women's distance a little bit here. So for the track purposes, it's going to be fun to watch, I think.
One loser I have is
a lot of losers.
I'm not the bubble 10K guy, because when you think of 10K, Shadrack and Lopez are the class, they're world class.
Yeah.
You look at that. But Career was a guy who's consistent, who has made multiple 10K teams, who would have been in that top 3. And I think now that Career's in the mix, it's a lot harder to break into that top 3 than it would have been if he wasn't in the mix, because we all thought Career would make the team, and then everyone would be like, all right, there's 2 spots for the 10K for Lopez and Shadrack, and we're all fighting for that one, and we're all kind of in the same field. We're all like, the Clayton Youngs and, the, Reed Fisher worlds and all these types of thing where we can kind of have a good day and get that 3rd place spot. But now that Career's in there, an Olympian in the 10K, I think did he make the 2017 team too?
Who? Career?
Did he make the 2017
I
team?
think so, yeah.
So he's made a 16, 17, and 19 team. That's hard to go up against.
Yeah.
And now he has the motivation of like, I didn't make the marathon team, so. Same thing on the women's side. It's the bubble male 10K guy.
Winner, I have a winner here. They're affiliated with the race, but they didn't run the race. It's okay. They couldn't run the race.
Yes.
That's their game. Okay. Person you're probably not that familiar with, a guy by the name of Mike Smith.
Ooh, he is a winner.
I don't know what he did. I don't know how much of that was Galen, how much was him, but there he was good. Galen up looked really fast.
He's 1 for 1.
He's undefeated under Mike Smith's tutelage. So whatever he did was working. Keep doing that.
He also won the Big Sky Conference on both the men's and women's side. So,
I mean,
he took 3 victories in the same weekend.
That's a triple. Yeah.
What do you think it was like for him watching Galen Rupp at the Olympic marathon trials and also like the weight throw?
Do you think does he have a weight thrower?
Yeah, he has a but like.
Wait, it was Saturday morning though. It was early. He didn't have to watch them both at the same time. What time does the Big Sky Conference start? Do they go at first thing in the morning on Saturday?
What?
I don't know. I figured
Do you think he's looking at like
sort of like noon
Big
or something?
Sky point breakdowns?
No.
And
that
also
point, no.
like the mile splits and like kind of be like getting distracted, be like, wait, is this mile split or
I thought we'd see him there. I thought he'd fly. He'd take that NAU Learjet.
Yeah.
The private jet,
They do
right? I
have
guess.
one.
Yeah. And then
Go to
Atlanta. Go to Atlanta and then get on the Gulf Stream back to Pocatello, Idaho. Is that where they were? Somewhere? I just assume they're always in Pocatello, Idaho.
I'll be honest. I did try to get a Mike Smith quote, but I failed because I was.
So you're not reporting that either.
No, I'm not reporting that, but I was talking to him on Friday.
Yeah.
And even on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
But during the race, he just like.
No.
He didn't talk to me.
He's locked in, man.
He's locked in. Just.
He's locked in on the gold, NBC Gold on the splits. He's refreshing that AtlantaTrials.com/results, man. Yeah, he's sending good vibes to him.
Sending good vibes.
Big winner there. Another one, like I said before, Hoka got to be a big winner for what they did on the women's side of things. Loser. Now these people have all moved on probably, but whoever the organizing committee was for LA 2016, and everyone just ripped on it. The complete opposite happened now. All people did was shower praise all weekend on how great Atlanta was.
Oh yeah, with the whole like ambulance not being people dropping out. And all
and the water not there, and how they were treating like the accommodations, whatever. I didn't hear a negative word at all about Atlanta the entire time we were there, and that sort of continued. And they had a huge field to deal with too.
Maybe you needed maybe you needed an LA to happen for Atlanta to be good.
Yeah. Needed to crawl so you could run.
Yeah, you needed a break before you climb.
Right.
What? I don't know.
Dwayne Wade falls down 7 times and gets up 8, which doesn't make sense because then you'd be getting up an extra time. If you fall down 7, you don't have to get up 7, right? 1 to 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Yeah, I mean, everybody just loved it. The fields were enormous, and they managed to pull it off. The crowds, I wasn't out there for the race itself. I was in the media area, but everybody was saying the crowds were really good despite the weather not being that great. I did the shakeout run the morning of, and there was a lot of fans there, a lot of people out running that morning. So I think that, they were a winner. LA, not so much. Let's see. Other winners or losers?
I mean, Ben Rosario's a winner. He's been.
Oh yeah, when I said Hoka, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, because he started the group, and it's kind of weird. There's a connection between Ben and Mike.
Well, Flagstaff, right?
Yeah, Flagstaff.
Flagstaff in
and
general.
They also trained together when they were marathoners. They were in a group together.
Okay.
There's some Workout Wednesday videos on FloTrack of Rosario and Mike
Working out together.
Young Mike Smith, young Ben Rosario.
Young.
So they have this interesting connection, and they both coached the marathon victors. But for Ben, I mean, he started Hoka 1-1 NAZ Elite. How many years ago?
I mean, not too long ago, but they've been around for a little bit.
But it's been over 5, right?
Yeah.
5 to 10 maybe. I don't know. I don't know the exact birth date of the group. I guess it was transition. It took an old group and then recreated it.
Right, because Hoka wasn't always sponsoring.
No,
right?
but NAZ Elite was formed from something else. He told me. I wish I remember this.
You need to be reporting this.
Yes.
Is what you need to be doing.
But it's his first Olympian.
I know, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if they went 1:56:75.
Yeah.
I think that's better than going 4:56 from a public perspective, which is wrong from a coaching perspective, I guess, or a holistic group perspective. But the way people value success in society, it's you could get 1 and then 2 DNFs and it's fine. I mean, on the flip side, I think the Huddle and Sisson, right, training together, and they don't get a finisher. Although it seemed to be strategic, they knew that they weren't going to make it, so they just have the plan B.
Do you think? So Molly Seidel probably can quit her day job now.
So someone asked her about that. How many hours do you work at the coffee shop? And she's like, well, that's when I'm in Boston. Or is she based in Boston? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she's had been in Flagstaff for the last couple months. So she was only working 15 hours. You're talking about the coffee shop job, right?
Yeah, or just any side job that she had, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's done, right?
Yes.
She now is, because how much money is her?
$60,000 or something like that.
But how much money is she now going to be given as when she makes a domestic marathon debut? Because
a lot.
They're going to want to have the Olympian on their roster at Boston or at. I mean,
she's going to New York. Well, she's going to New York.
No,
for sure.
she'll go to Boston.
Well, no, she's going to go to New York this fall, and then she'll go to Boston next spring.
Okay.
She's going to make money twice.
Yeah.
She's going to get. There's got to be an Olympian bonus in the Saucony contract, even though you're right, it might have been renegotiated. But I'm saying, as is, she was working at the coffee shop, but
it changed her life.
Oh my God.
Her life changed more than any of the other 5 qualifiers. Maybe Jake is in that realm, but not really. Jake's life changed.
Jake's life changed. You know whose life didn't change?
Galen's.
Abdi, because he's number 5. Cool. He has the same.
He's like
he knows how to do it.
You should have tweeted out the Popovich gif.
One. Well, he just knows exactly the procedure. Someone's gonna email him from USATF. Congratulations, you've been in the Olympic team, and it's when people send you an email with the same subject line, it just sits under the same thread, and sometimes you can't find it. Abdi now has 5 of those, so he's got to make sure he refreshes his email and looks for new inbox, because otherwise he's not going to click the thing to activate his Olympic account or whatever they have to do.
He's starting to go to a spam folder.
Yeah,
he's getting it too often.
Yes, he's
got spam folder of team selections.
Yeah, he's like, there's too many of these. You're right. Yeah, Seidel and Riley. That's a good comparison. I mean, the difference was Riley basically. What did he say? His quote was good. He's like, there are no more next times or whatever. This was it.
Yeah.
For him, this was him. He's had a whole bunch of stuff, professionally and personally going on that hasn't been positive in the last few years. Really candid guy too. It was interesting to hear him talk. Whereas Seidel, she gets top 20. Okay, she's building. Yeah. She just came off an injury. She probably makes that debut in New York or Boston, and then she runs well there.
Yeah.
And it just escalated what was going to happen.
Yeah.
With Riley, this salvaged it. This saved it.
Yeah.
Right. And this added
this extended Jake's career. This put on fast forward motion Molly's career.
Yeah.
Now Molly has expectations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part now.
Yeah.
The next race she runs is an expectation.
Yeah. Well, that'll be the Olympics. I mean, next real race of the Olympics.
Right? So.
Well, here's the thing with the Olympics too. You only get 3 per country.
Yeah.
So Kenya's going to have 3 good people.
Ethiopia's
going to have 3 good people. Lona Salpeter of Israel just ran 2:17. She's going to be good. There'll be a smattering of other good people.
Top 20 is easy.
Yes. I'm saying top 10 is attainable here. But there's a huge difference between top 10 and top 3, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of the reason why Rupp was able to get that bronze, I mean, yes, he beat 2 Kenyans and he beat 2 Ethiopians, right? Because there's only a Kenyan Ethiopian that beat him in Rio. But it wasn't a major. Like Olympics are easier than a major.
Yeah.
Harder to get in, but once you get in, it's easier than a major. So it's kind of like the
I mean, Olympics are easier than a diamond league. Some a lot of times.
Well, it's just like the women's high hurdles, right? Once you
Yeah.
get on the team, you're automatically a medal threat.
Yeah.
It's harder to make the U.S. team than it is to get a medal.
I mean, do you think Rupp is better now than he was 4 years ago? Like, what's the best Rupp? Have we seen the best Rupp? Are we going to see a better Rupp?
No, I think we've seen it, but this is interesting, the whole new coach dynamic. Okay, so there was an article that Runners World did with Jordan Hesse before the marathon, and she didn't talk about anything with her back or any of her issues, which clearly were plaguing her. She didn't go that far, but she was critiquing a lot of Salazar's training about how she didn't have an off day, and I think she said you're too focused on speed, and some of the quotes were like, oh, she's actually, she wasn't saying, oh, that training was great and now I'm just trying something new. She was sort of questioning it more of like, yeah, I was kind of getting tired of doing all those 200s or something like that. Again, this is not an exact quote. You can find the article yourself. But I wonder with Rupp and Mike Smith if there's something similar there too.
And Rupp, it's even more extreme though, because at least Jordan has had multiple coaches.
Right.
You know, from high school to college to pro, whereas Galen's had one.
His entire life he's had one coach. So I wonder if Mike's sitting back from a 30,000-foot view and saying, oh,
7,000-foot view.
7,538 with the altitude conversion. And he's saying, hey, let's try to push this button or let's tweak this here and make that and see if we can get something more out of you there. Yeah, I mean, do you think it's healthy to have one coach your entire career? Probably not.
Tom Brady's about to
find out
if it's healthy.
Yeah, so that's the one X factor there. I mean, I would be inclined to say no, like that we haven't seen the best Rupp, or we have seen the best Rupp, and his performance in Tokyo, like he's gonna have to run really well to get bronze.
Yeah.
Right. Like if Kipchoge is there, like we expect him to be. If Bekele is there, Lawrence Chirono, except you could go on and on and on. Desisa, whoever.
Yeah,
they
but
name.
see, that's the thing. Now that we say this, they could all DNF the same way. What happened? Like it's gonna be really hard to be top 3 at the U.S. Olympic trials for Molly Seidel.
Sure, but
you know.
But the thing is,
crazy things happen.
But like, unless something really goes crazy with Kipchoge, like gold is gone, right? And then it's like, so the best.
When you say that 52-second mark,
yeah.
Gold is gone. We're coming back. We're gonna play that back once that gold is not gone. Yeah. And is taken by someone else.
I will gladly admit to being wrong on that. Like I said,
Kipchoge's got to lose one day, right?
He does, but what I'm saying is, Rupp can, with Kipchoge in the race, and if silver's the best you can do, he's already gotten a silver before, right? So he doesn't really, like the only level he has to go up, at least in terms of a medal placing, is from silver to gold. I guess in the marathon he can go from bronze to silver, but that's gonna be a tough field to navigate on the men's side, women's side too, but. Rupp can do it, but I'd still say he has a 50% chance at a medal. And going any higher than that, I think, is people just being really optimistic.
Yeah.
You got to respect the distance. But, yeah, the Mike Smith thing does make it more interesting. If he just went with if he just was like, oh, I'm going to stick with somebody who was old NOP or that. Like if he's like, oh, I'm going to go to Pete Julian. It's like, okay, well, I'm sure that training is like heavily influenced by Salazar, right? I mean, what if like Mike Smith's like, hey, you ever taken an easy day? And he's like, no, what's that? Or something like that, right? Yeah. Or like, what if he stretches up his strength training routine? Yeah. Something, like there's something there.
Have you ever done this stretch?
Yeah, and he's like, no, I've never touched my toes before, Mike. Have you ever done yoga? Oh, he's doing Tai Chi, he said. So that seems like a Mike Smith thing.
That's what I would like to know, like the evolution of like Galen, like understanding Mike's personality. Like when he like, there's got to be that first moment when Mike tries to make a joke, and Galen doesn't know it because he's like, he's not prepared for a joke. Yeah. And then like you have that awkwardness, like, oh no, these are called jokes. Well,
when Lincoln talked about them being in a buddy cop movie a while ago, I thought that was a great. I mean, it's just, I would love to just see how this works. And I guess they're not in the same place, so you wouldn't get as many.
Will they ever plan on being in the same place for an extended period?
I don't know. If only one of us was in communication with Mike Smith.
Well, Mike is just very preoccupied though with college, right?
As he should.
And so, I mean, what's Galen going to do? What do marathoners do between now and the Olympics? Do they do anything? Do they do any races?
Sleep. Put your feet up.
Does he do anything?
Oh, he'll do I'm sure he'll probably try to do a half and like wins the marathon. August. I mean, maybe in June, July, early July, something like
So
that.
like a
couple
UG
weeks out.
Maybe do like a Portland half or something.
Something.
Nice.
I mean, before he did a really low key one. I mean, maybe even May. It didn't look like he was working very hard.
Yeah.
It looked like he was starting to recover that last mile, and that was his cool down. So, I would be interested to see. I mean, maybe he's never really. Well, they went to Park City before, so he's used to altitude. I don't know.
Maybe he won't go to Park City. He'll go to
Flagstaff.
Flag now.
Yeah. Well, you should get on that. You should figure that
I
out.
do think it'll be. I'm sure I think he's gonna do like spend maybe like a week or 2 weeks in Flag, just to like kind of have like daily interaction with Mike.
The thing is, and it's like when you're with.
I mean, he has a family though, so it's like he doesn't want to be away for too long.
Right. But like, it's interesting because like Mike, I don't think he offers him something totally different than what Alberto did. Alberto was clearly obsessed with every minor detail, and Mike he doesn't even seem like that type. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You were on the team. He doesn't seem like that type of guy for anybody.
No. Yeah.
For anybody, let alone some guy he's just bringing on. So every bit of advice he's going to give him is going to be much more like from an advisor perspective than a like, oh, you need to do this thing. Like it's just him coming in with completely fresh eyes.
Well, he's all about mental preparation.
Yeah.
Like that's like.
Right. Which Rupp, I mean, throughout his career has been just rock solid on. So
like,
I don't know.
do you think it was Mike Smith who told Rupp to sit on the starting line?
So I did get that exclusive photo on my Twitter account. That was interesting.
I'm gonna ask him. That could have been it. He's like, hey man,
just sit
just
down.
when you get there, just sit down, just think about life, think about your kids, and just like.
And he had his jacket on still. It was funny.
Just don't just tune everything out and just like be yourself.
It was funny because I was standing next to Chris Chavez when he sat down, and Chris was like, "Man, he takes that time on feet thing seriously," because he was just like, they walked him out, and as soon as he got out there, boom, right on his butt, and then he had his jacket on still. I mean, I'm guessing he eventually.
How long was he sitting for?
Oh, a good couple minutes.
Yeah.
A good couple minutes. I mean, it was. I mean, the field's pretty big, but then when you pack people like the width of a street, and you're used to seeing like a major marathon, and then you see a race with like. What was it, 200 people or something?
Yeah.
It doesn't look that big. It's like, oh, they all like fit in half a block or something like that. But it'd take them all to come up, and then they had the national anthem. And Meb was the starter, so you were right on that. You nailed it.
Sub
220 for the starters PR.
Yes.
I know, I heard that. I was like, dang it, Gordon. I was just angry.
Well, you thought it was going to be who? Trey Young? You know, you thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
I thought it'd be no. I just thought it would be anybody but a men's marathoner, and then they would automatically be above 220. I don't know. It could have been. Joan Benoit Samuelson, or it could have been.
I'm sorry.
Dina Casper was doing the broadcast, so it couldn't have been her. I don't know. Dude, we got 2 minutes left, but we didn't get to talk about NCAA stuff. Do you want to tease?
Yeah, we tease it. We can talk about it tomorrow.
Okay, what are we going to talk about specifically?
So tonight, the entries are released, and we'll find out.
Tuesday night, that is.
Tonight, Tuesday night.
Yeah.
The entries are released. We'll find out which doubles people are doing. I've been trying to find out by texting coaches. I texted one coach about a certain miler, asking them if that miler is going to run or run the DMR fresh. And he said, we are currently discussing that as we speak.
I think I know who you're talking about, but we'll.
Who do you think I'm talking about?
I'm not going to say
Okay,
it
you
because I don't want to.
I'm not reporting.
I don't want to burn your. I mean, not that is really revealing anything. That is every track coach, by the way. For those of you who do not work at a running media company, that is literally every track coach. Oh, I don't know. We're still thinking about it.
Yeah, it's like, no, you just don't want to tell me.
No,
and like,
don't.
what?
They fear your journalistic chops.
But like, no one's gonna be like, oh crap, this person's not running the mile. No, I'm gonna switch.
Game plan. Move them this way and that way, and let's do a zone instead of man to man. I don't.
Yeah.
But
so,
hold on. But will you know that by tonight?
Yeah, because we're gonna know if this person declares. We're gonna know if Danny Jones declares for the mile or the 5K. We'll know.
But I'm saying they could put them. They could always add them in the DMR, though, right?
Yeah, but we don't know who's gonna run anchor or DMR, but we will know who scratches events they've qualified
in the mile, right?
And events that people will scratch are the mile, 800, or 5K.
5K, right. No one scratches the 3K. Everybody runs the 3K.
Yeah, and the only reason someone will scratch the 800 is to be fresh for a DMR or because they want to run a different event. But, and someone might scratch a 200 if they want to focus on a 60 or a 200 if they want to focus on the 400 because they can't handle that double.
Yeah.
There might be, like, people who are good that are scratched, like Quincy Hall, South Carolina, 400-meter hurler, very good, 44-second guy. He ran the prelim at SECs, but didn't run the final or the 4x4.
Okay.
So that's something to, like, Quincy Hall's not in the mix.
Yeah,
That's a big deal. And then there might be some people who've been ranked in the top 16 for a long time, but we haven't, like, dived deep into it and realized they did that mark in January, and they haven't done anything since. And we're just like,
are they hurt?
It turns out they're hurt, and we found out. So there will be some scratches. So for
you-
that, it's big if it's scratching on a team like a team that's in the title chase.
What's your excitement level, 1 to 10, about this indoor championships?
10.
Okay, good.
And I'm not even saying that unironically.
You're not?
No, because there's something cool there with the whole NAU story.
Oh, okay. After day 1, if NAU doesn't do good in the 5K, what's
Oh,
your
it drops. It drops down to like a 3.5.
I mean, there are a lot of. I mean, the distance.
It goes from 10 to 3.5 after that 5K if they don't score at least 15 points.
The distance races are good. They're interesting, but there's gonna be a lot of new faces. And new faces are fun in the sprints, but you're coming off of Holloway, and the year before that you had Sydney, Holloway, Norman, Rye Benjamin, and then before that you had Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman and Curley.
Yeah. So it's like
before that you had DeGrasse, Trayvon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always been like somebody there.
Yeah, Shakari Richardson.
Yeah.
Last year, so.
Yeah, maybe someone will pop up, but right now we haven't seen the times.
Someone will pop.
Yeah. But last year
I think Terrence Laird of LSU,
former Penn State guy, yeah.
Also former Florida State guy and a former Hines guy.
This is fourth school?
This is third school.
Third school, okay. You said Hines?
We didn't go to Penn State. Did he go to Penn State?
He went to Penn State. Terrence Laird?
Yeah.
Yeah. I called a race where he ran. You're talking
As
about
a freshman?
You're talking to the Big Ten guy right here.
Yeah.
Sure? I mean, I'm almost 100%
So
sure.
he's a Penn State, Florida State, Hines Community College,
Did he ever run
LSU
it?
Tiger.
Did he ever run
He's
it?
a four-college man. He's a junior.
Wait, did
Look into
he
that.
did he run?
Maybe he committed to Florida State, but never.
That's what
I
I'm
think he
thinking.
committed to Florida State, went to Hines, and then left Florida.
No.
I think he went to Penn State, committed to Florida State, couldn't get in, so he ran a year at Hines instead of taking a year of redshirt. And then after Hines, instead of going back to Florida State, he went to LSU instead. That's what happened. Because I know he committed to Florida State, but never ran for them. That's what happened.
Okay, but
So it's Penn State, Hines, Florida State on paper, and now LSU.
okay, hold on, I can't follow.
Okay, no, that's.
Oh no, Penn State. Yeah. Here's Penn State. I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. Yes, he ran.
What was his times at Penn State?
2018. He ran indoors.
Sub 21. But yeah, he's gonna win the 200, and he might throw down like a.
He's gonna win the 200 NCAAs.
Yeah, he might.
okay.
He could have like an Elijah Hall type moment, like
Okay.
that when. But I don't think he's gonna run the collegiate record. But I do think he's gonna run like a top 10 indoor all.
Well, I mean that's huge for LSU, right? They get him. They pair him with
Their jumpers.
Javon Harrison, Rayvon Gray, and their hurdlers, Damian Thomas and Eric Edwards.
Yep.
The Oregon transfer. A lot of transfers.
Yeah, Florida State's got some transfers.
Yeah. Caleb Parker and the hurdle race is gonna be fun from the team perspective.
Yeah.
I bet NAU's gonna be very interested in the hurdles and also the jumps.
And jumps. Yep. And Mike Smith is starting to be like, all right, what is?
We need a jumper. Can Tyler Day triple?
Can Nico Young? He's gonna tell Nico Young to start training for the triple jump.
Yeah, we just need one high hurdler.
It's one guy. And you'll give like a full scholarship to.
Abdi Hamid, come on, man.
All right,
that's it.
That's it. We'll talk about the entries tomorrow.
I think you and Lincoln will be on tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you guys like the Gordon-Lincoln combo as much as I do,
On 1.5.
be sure to that's the sweet spot right there. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, and you guys will be talking about NCAA stuff. Maybe some other news will break.
Yeah, maybe.
It's been kind of quiet.
It's been quiet.
See you guys.